Welcome everybody coming live from Doola HQ in New York City for another weekly live. Tuesday means weekly live. And today's topic is common early founder mistakes. Now, one thing I actually just realized here is we're going to start with actually covering some FAQs that came in last week. That's how we always start, just so folks are aware. I'm going to spend a couple minutes going through questions that came in. The live chat is open too. So if anyone has questions, please drop them into the chat. I think that's the most fun part about the weekly live Q&A. You can actually chime a question in. Oh, it looks like we got one here. Boom. Hey, dude, what's up? From Roger. Roger, thank you. Roger, if you have questions or anyone else, I actually read and respond to all of these. So drop them in the chat. Thank you, Roger. So I'm going to start off with actually covering some of the FAQs that we couldn't cover last week. And then we're going to dive into today's topic, which is common early founder mistakes. So maybe you're actually well beyond the founder stage, and I think some of these mistakes you can still avoid or learn from. Or you're just starting, you haven't started. And then I want to share these mistakes that you don't make them. In full disclosure, I've made a lot of these. So learn from the mistakes. I don't want you to make these same mistakes. So a couple questions. And again, please drop them in the chat if you have any additional questions too. One question that came in is, there was a question of, do you do C Corps as well as LLCs? So does doula help you start a C Corp versus LLC? Let me just define this for everyone. C Corp is C Corporation. LLC is limited liability company. Doula actually does form LLCs and C Corps. Now, I will say we predominantly form LLCs. LLCs are our main focus. As to why, it's not that we don't think C Corps are important. Doula is actually a C Corp. But as a startup and as a founder, and you know what, this might be a bonus mistake that I add, you can't boil the ocean. You can't serve everyone. So yes, technically we can form C Corps, but that isn't our bread and butter. So that doesn't mean we don't do them, and there are cases where we do, but we don't believe, at least right now, we have the best business in a box for a C Corp versus the best business in a box for an LLC, especially someone selling on Shopify or an e-commerce business. So good question. So good, you can message and we can see if we can support you, but ultimately we do LLCs, we do C Corps, so the LLCs are the bread and butter. Okay, another question that came in, or this might have been a comment actually. Let me check the chat. Oh, okay, we got another comment coming from Veer. Hey, buddy, I hope this will be a game-changing session for me, Veer. I hope so, too. I'll be as candid as I can. I'm going to share the biggest mistakes we see. So if you have questions, Veer, drop them in the chat, too. I appreciate the shout-out here. Question, or this might have been a comment that actually came in. Why optimize every funnel but leave tax payments on autopilot? The IRS doesn't care about your growth metrics when penalties hit. I mean, Ramiz, that's a great point. The IRS does not care about your growth metrics when penalties hit. So I guess the takeaway or point here, maybe this is a founder mistake, is or piece of founder advice, Ramiz, I appreciate you sharing, is you don't want penalties. Penalties are asymmetric downside. I haven't really met a founder who wants to avoid compliance. Everyone wants to do it correctly. You just want the peace of mind. But these fines can be crippling depending on the type of fine. So just put that ounce of prevention in for a pound of the cure. If you can put it on autopilot, fantastic. But if not, take the extra time just to make sure that the submission's done correctly, whether it's the tax filing at the federal level or the state level. So, Ramiz, I appreciate the shout out here. Thank you for contributing to the common early founder mistakes. Then we had a question from Trev Sleep. Arjun, how does being a founder affect your health? Okay. I could go on a long rant here, but I'll turn this into a 60-second max answer. The way I view it is that one way to view life is that there's different, let's say one way to view it is there's a balance beam. So let's say there's a balance beam. And if your view of life is it's a balance beam and you fill up this cup, that means, oh, I'm doing more of this and then less of this. Okay, whoops, so let me go fill this up more. This implies strict trade-offs. It's either doing this, more of this, or doing more of this. So there's the balance beam view of life. Then there's the flywheel view of life, which is if I do this thing, it actually inevitably leads to this thing, which means the next step is this thing. And the flywheel actually, when you put more power into each component, it actually spins faster. I fundamentally believe that life is a flywheel. And I think a lot of times people talk about work-life balance. I think you need to replace balance with flywheel. And let me explain this to you. Balance implies strict trade-offs. It means you can only do this without doing this. The way I view it is it's a flywheel. So to answer the question about health, health is a key part of the flywheel. I don't view it as a balance beam of I need to either choose health or work or family or friends? No. To me, that is a key part of the flywheel. All of those are a flywheel. Now, there's limited time in a day, meaning you can't spend the same amount of time in all buckets, but you get to decide where you fill the cup. And I don't mean fill the cup in a balance beam, but where you fill the cup or input energy into the flywheel. So I think of it as actually energy into a flywheel component versus filling a cup with water. But you got to fill those cups with energy. And then the way I view health is if I'm healthier, I have more energy at work and I'm better at work. If I'm better at work, I feel better outside of work with friends and family. And then if my friends and family time is there and work time is there, I work a long day and I'm just tired, I sleep better. And then that flywheel is cool because, hey, I had a very productive day, so I want to do it all over again. And then you see health gains. So that's my answer in terms of how it affects health. I think that if you can reframe it into it's part of the flywheel, I think of it as a KPI, a key performance indicator of I need to take care of my health the same way I take care of responding to emails on time. It's a key KPI. So for me, even this morning, I was like, I didn't really feel, not every day I feel like exercising, but today I was like, okay, you know what? I really want to hit the desk to start working on something, but I'm going to go get some exercise in. I did a quick hour-long workout, boom, hit the desk, I have energy. And I know that that's going to fuel me through the rest of the day. And then tomorrow I'm going to be like, you know what? That felt great. Let's do it again. So I hope that helps. I think health is part of the flywheel. I think it's critical. It's a long-term game that a startup is. It's a long-term game, and the only way to stay in the game is staying healthy. It's a great question, Trev Sleep. Okay, let's jump into questions. Those are 3 that came in. Again, if there's any questions, please drop them in the chat. I'll cover them all live. So let's start off with, you started your business. We're talking about common founder mistakes if you're just tuning in. So you've launched your business, could be an e-commerce brand on Shopify or a business on Amazon. But really what you do in those first couple months sets the trajectory for where you're going. Now, if you're just starting, again, drop your questions in the chat. I'll answer them as we go. If you're stuck on something, please drop that in the chat too. I'm happy to answer. And also, if you have a quick question about launching or scaling your business, drop it in the chat. Even if your answer or question feels basic, it can help other founders watching. So please drop it in the chat. So let's go through the mistakes. Mistake number 1, and actually what I'll do in real time here is I'm going to actually pop these on to the screen. So mistake number 1 is not treating it like a real business. And here's what I mean. You can be serious in the brain, but if you're not serious in the real world, your business isn't going to work. Or you're going to just create problems down the line. So let me give you some actual examples. If you don't have a business bank account, you're mixing personal with business finances, you're not doing compliance. If you do all of those things, you might feel like it's a shortcut now, but it will come back to bite you when your business succeeds. And I'm guessing you want your business to succeed. So the way you can do this, the solution, I'll give you a solution for every common mistake is please, if you're starting, form a business bank account, get your EIN, set up a business bank account, separate personal and business. That ensures that the corporate veil isn't pierced. Personal and business separate. That means in the case of a lawsuit, personal assets can't be seized. Make that split early. Set up a basic bookkeeping tools or transactions go through. Just set up these basic steps. So treat it like a real business, mentally and physically. Take these actions. Mistake number 2. And what's cool about these mistakes is I've made all of these. So you got to treat it like a real business. Set up bookkeeping earlier, whether it's in-house or through a third-party tool. Mistake number 2 is waiting too long to launch. So let's go through this. I understand when you're starting, and I've done this, you're building. And I'll use an example of this social fitness app I was building even before Doola. And I was using this no-code tool called Glide Apps. I was building the app, I was drafting a blog post, and every week without fail, I'd say, I need more time. I need one more week to make more improvements to the app and test it with more people and write the blog post. And I think this went on for 4 weeks. Just week after week, I kept pushing the can down the road saying, I'm not ready to launch, I'm not ready to launch. And then one week, I scheduled the post because I was like, you know what? I'm kind of scared to publish. Let's schedule the post. And then I actually forgot I scheduled the post. And then here's the thing. A couple hours before it was ready to go live, I was like, let me try to cancel the schedule. I got scared again, but I couldn't undo it. So the post went live. It had to go live. And I was like, holy crap, it's going live. And the post went live. For my standards at the time, the Twitter thread went viral. But no one actually continued to use the app. People signed up. They used it. Retention was a goose egg. It was a fat 0. And you know what I felt then? I actually wasn't upset. I wasn't upset that the app didn't work. I was upset that I didn't launch earlier because I would have gotten to this point earlier. And the biggest asset we have is time. So actually, I wish I launched earlier. And I think that's the biggest thing. The point here is not to throw crap against the wall, especially in this day and age. People expect quality. The bar has come down to create MVPs or create a well designed offering. You can create images being ChatGPT. So don't throw crap at the wall and just launch early, but launch early. You learn so much. And I actually think most of the time you're not scared of launching, you're scared of launching what other people will think. But you got to launch early. My favorite reminder to myself is Y Combinator says always be launching. There's so many launches you can do. A social post can be a launch, a product hunt can be a launch, press release can be a launch. Always be launching. So what I would say here is put something out there. I think it's a really great forcing function too for a team to say, hey, this date in the future, we're doing this event or launch. The whole team can work towards it. It creates motivation, it creates momentum, it creates a fun deadline. It's a forcing function. So waiting too long to launch is a huge mistake. I learned this the hard way, where I wasn't mad it actually didn't work. I was more mad at myself for not doing it earlier, because maybe I would have been where we are today or even further along faster, because we would have gotten to that learning and the failure. We would have failed fast. So that's mistake number 2, waiting too long to launch. Mistake number 3, and please drop, if you have any feedback or if you have mistakes, drop them in the chat. I'll cover them too. Mistake number 3 is no product market fit or niche. And I was talking earlier actually about, someone asked, do you do LLCs and C Corps? Technically, there's many other types of entities. There's limited partnerships, there's nonprofits, there's DAO LLCs. And one of the biggest mistakes that I made, I think so many founders make, is when you're starting, you just want someone to use your offering. So you take everyone. You can use my product, and oh, you want this service, I'll do it for you. And that works, but eventually what you realize is that you're doing so many different things, there's no repeatable processes, and then the quality varies across the board because there's no standards or repetition that you can build in. So you don't have a targeted audience, and if anything, maybe when you start, you're able to handle a couple different projects and the quality is good, but with time, the quality starts to come down too, versus having compounding advantages where your product gets better or the service gets better because you're doing a single thing or less things better versus many things mediocrely. So I think the biggest thing, and I put this in the bucket of these unteachable truths, because everyone says focus, everyone says niche down, but I feel like everyone has to go through this on their own before realizing, crap, we should have focused more. Pick a clear niche and then go after that. So I'll give you an example. Anyone can actually start an LLC with doola, but we want to really help these Shopify entrepreneurs start an LLC. And that's one specific use case out of so many different entities. But if you can do it for one use case really well, you'll actually grow faster, and then you'll be able to go replicate that in other verticals too. So if you're a Shopify entrepreneur listening or want to start a Shopify business, come use doola. Other businesses can use doola too. But there's only so much time in the day we can spend in terms of partnerships or content or go to market. So you have to focus that energy somewhere, which is why we don't focus as much energy on DAO LLCs or C Corps or other niches right now. So second thing, well, this is number 3, no product market fit or niche. You can rather serve a select group spectacularly or serve many people mediocrely. Go for the select group spectacularly. Number 4. These are all these unteachable truths. Number 4, no focus on retention. So what happens here is you're so focused on growing that you don't think about, hey, wait a second. It's so much easier to actually renew or upsell an existing customer than to acquire a new one. They've already used your offering. They've already found some value. And it's easy to think about, wait a second, yes, we want to grow by getting new people in, but how do we expand the existing customer base? There's got to be ways you can do that, and there always are. And the way you learn that is you talk to customers. You ask them, hey, what are your problems? Great. Can we solve them for you? So the mistake here is you're acquiring customers, and you forget to actually serve them well and then solve more of their problems. That's how you can expand the product suite. And I'll use a doula example. We started forming businesses. We then realized most people had questions about taxes, so we added taxes. And then we realized, hey, during the year, they didn't have insights into their books or numbers, and when it came to tax season, their books were actually quite messy. So let's take care of that during the year. Then we said, hey, we can layer on analytics on top so they can better understand their business. So by continuing to solve problems, that's how you increase retention and create more value for customers. And then the cool thing is by making it more valuable for your existing customers, it's actually easier to acquire new customers because there's more value. So that's mistake number 4, no focus on retention. Mistake number 5. Any guesses? No analytics or tracking. So here's where this happens. And I get it. When you're starting, you don't have customers. Like, what is there to track? So maybe that's fair. You're starting, there's nothing there. But once you start to get some customers in, or even if it's just visits, you can only manage what you can measure. So you need to at some point know. And again, I put it in the unteachable truths because I feel like every company gets to a point where they're like, "Damn, we should have spent more time on data or setting up the foundation." And that I understand where it comes from, because you don't want to spend all your time creating the perfect dashboards or optimizing the tracking if there's nothing there. You have to do both. But the answer is you have to do both. So simple things you can do here: Google Analytics outside the box. There's tools like PostHog, which is what Doola uses. And what I would say is, as early as possible, create a very simple funnel view. And you can do this in Google Sheets. It's quite simple. Start from how someone finds you, and then just go through each step of the funnel. So, for example, it could be hit the website, create an account, they drop off on these pages, and then they purchase. And then post-purchase, maybe your subscription offering, or maybe there's some activation, but that could just be your onboarding funnel or the purchase funnel. Then there could be a funnel for, hey, let's say someone's onboarded to the app, or they need to go through a flow to, they've signed up, they've paid, now I need to fill out an application to get a bank account. You can look at each of those steps too. And tools like PostHog make it easy to actually track these funnels. So the only way to actually improve is to have visibility into what's working. And you can use qualitative feedback like talking to customers, but the data is so important. And the data is critical too, because once you have the tracking, you can then set experiments against numbers, run the experiment, and see if it moved the number in the direction you wanted. So that's mistake number 5, no analytics or tracking. Okay, we have a comment from Julian here who said, I've got and I don't know if this is, we can put it up here, but I guess Julian said this. Not really a question, but we'll put it up there. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions from people, actually. I guess, Julian, I'm glad that advice was helpful on no analytics or tracking. Okay, mistake number 6. Mistake number 6 is, oh man, these all resonate. They all resonate, of course, because I'm sharing mistakes we've made. Mistake number 6 is relying 100% on ads. So here's the thing about ads. Ads might get a bad rap because, you're paying Google, and if you pay Google, you pay them, and then next month you have to pay them more. But ads can be actually a very quick way to not only scale a business, but also test. Because instantly, rather than spending months building out a product or a landing page, let me give you an example about actually power of ads. You might know the book, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. He actually ran ads with like an empty book or no ability to buy, with just different book covers or titles, until he found out what resonated, and then he made that the title. So he could have just went off a whim and said, I'm going to pick this book, but he knew he was putting a lot of muscle and marketing into the book. So he ran an ad, because you can run quick ads, put that in front of people, and actually get data to validate a hypothesis. Now, ads can be good, but here's the issue: if you're 100% reliable on ads, the algorithms can change, the platforms can change. You're not building the compounding enterprise value or brand equity. And ultimately, if it's easy to do, it means someone else can easily do it. Versus building a loyal social following or doing in-person communities. Those take more effort. But inherently, because it takes more effort, it's harder for someone else to do, to build those relationships or to build those platforms. So I think of it as a portfolio. If you can acquire customers via ads, fantastic. Turn the dial. Do it responsibly. But if you put all your focus there, you're not building the true enterprise long-term value as well. Okay, and mistake number 7. Oh, and Julian said, haha, I was just checking if it was really live. Okay, Julian, this is live. If you have an actual question, it's all good too. We're going through random mistakes, but yes, this is live. Julian did a check. This is a live stream. And Julian said, I've got to go, but please keep doing what you're doing. I don't even know what this channel is. I just got recommended. Oh, amazing. The algorithm. There we go. So we just talked about mistake, ads, focusing too much on ads. Julian just came across this recommended. This live stream got recommended. Now Julian's learning about doula. Julian's learning about common founder mistakes. No ads here. This is fully organic. Spending time on a live stream. We just met Julian. Julian, if you ever start a business, schedule a consultation with doula. We'd love to see if we can be a part of the journey. But there we go. There's a prime example right here of focusing on building an audience. Use organic content. Do social. These are things which can help find potential entrepreneurs or customers. Okay. And then lastly, mistake number 7 is poor shipping / logistics planning. So here's what happens. I think of this as even more downstream from, well, it's part of retention, of course, but If you're delivering something, that matters as much as when someone goes through and getting them to purchase. So if you don't have, and I'm talking about an e-commerce offering here, you think about the unboxing experience, how people get their goods. Are they getting it in 1 day versus 7 days? If there's delays and shipping costs, you're gonna have unhappy customers. So you have to think through the full user journey, and it's very easy to focus so much on how do I get you to pay, and then you forget about, oh wait, how do I get you to have a good experience using the thing. So what you can do here is, and I think this is always good for anything, is eat your own dog food or drink your own champagne. Test it yourself. Order from a supplier, or use your own onboarding flow. Test it yourself and actually ask yourself, hey, if I was a customer, is this the experience that I would want? Okay, so that is the final mistake that I was going to cover today. If others have mistakes, please drop them in the chat. I can cover them. If people have questions too, we'll pull them up live. But the thing I want to run through is that every successful e-commerce business, at the end of the day, they make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. And I'll actually give you an analogy that I really like to think through how every founder makes mistakes, but the best ones learn fast and build systems. And then eventually, you make way less mistakes. So let me actually give you the story here. I think entrepreneurship is like having a dice with 100 sides. And let's say I have a dice, you have a dice. It has 100 sides, and the sides can either be red or green. We don't know what our dice was predetermined as, how many reds or green. So I start rolling, you start rolling. I'm rolling red. I roll again, red. And let's call it red mistakes. My landing page didn't work. The ads didn't work. Just mistake after mistake after mistake. Then I see your dice, and you're rolling, and everything you roll is green. Launched a product. Chart looks like this. Press release. Boom. Goes viral. Launch a new social channel. Boom. Thousands of subscribers. And I'm looking at you saying, how is every dice roll green? But here's the catch. Every time you roll green on a dice, one of your red sides turns green. So I don't know how many greens you started with. I don't know how many greens I have. But the truth is, you don't know how someone's dice is stacked. You don't know what background they had, how long they've been in the game for in terms of experience. And ultimately, that's what I think, is that the more times you roll the dice, you could have 99 reds and 1 green. And you stumble into some success. But then that turns one of the other sides that are red to green. So all of a sudden, your odds went from 1 out of 100 to 2 out of 100. And ultimately, I think the best entrepreneurs, they've just been rolling the dice for longer, or they've rolled more dices in a shorter amount of time. They've got more reps in. They've made more mistakes, but they've learned from those mistakes and turned them to green. So success comes from iterating. Perfection is the enemy of progress. A good plan violently executed today is infinitely better than the perfect plan next week. You got to take action. You got to roll the dice. And that's ultimately what Doola does. We don't help you actually get green. Green comes from your experience. You have to take the action. We can't do the action for you. I mean, in certain things we can actually. We can do the back office work for you, but we help you stay in the game. We make it so that you can focus your time on rolling versus doing your tax filings, your bookkeeping, or setting up your business. So if you are an aspiring entrepreneur, we can help you start your LLC in all 50 states. If you have an existing business, we can support your back office too, so you can focus on what actually matters, building the product, talking to customers, and growing. And ultimately, the only way you lose is if you stop rolling. And the only way you lose is if you never roll, which means never start. So if you have never rolled, get rolling. And if you are rolling today, don't give up. Keep rolling. Turn those mistakes into successes. Okay, that is a wrap. Let's see. We had a comment here. If there's any comments, I'll cover them. From here, Jake. Jake, early founder here, formed my company through Dole, and it was very quick and easy. Thanks for tips. Love to hear that, Jake. Thank you. And then Jake did clarify. I mistyped doula. All good, Jake. I kind of like Dole. That's kind of funny. I like that. But appreciate it, Jake. Means the world. Thank you for using doula. And this is the coolest thing, where we get to now be a small part of Jake's journey. And I like to think that one of the coolest things about doula is that we get to see the future. Hold on. Bear with me here. What I mean by that is an early stage founder comes to doula. They're working on this cool idea. They tell us what they're building. Sometimes we get to learn what they're building. We get to help them. And then they go and do it. And then the world sees after. So like we get to front run the world and see what people are doing. We get to see what the future is before it happens. So Jake, really appreciate it. Thank you for using doula. And for anyone else, again, I share these mistakes because I want you to avoid them. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me on social. You can schedule a free demo online at doola.com. I'll actually just pop that up on the screen here too. So seriously, no matter where you are in the journey, maybe you're like, hey, I've been waiting to start, but I just have a couple questions I want to ask. Or maybe you just want to brainstorm and, hey, when's the right time? What's the right entity? I want to get my ducks in a row. You can schedule a consultation right here, and a human on our team will actually chat with you. That is a wrap for this week's weekly live common founder mistakes. Thank you everyone who tuned in again. If you didn't have a chance to ask a question asked during the week, we'll cover them next week, and I will see you next